ハイパースピードメディア。
What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. On a previous episode we upgraded the fuel pump. If you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and watch that. Now on this episode I did a lot of things off camera already, but I'm going to go through each one of that, and then I'm going to actually modify a few more things to get it ready for the first startup. We're almost there. We're about 90% there. We need about 10% more to get it up and running, so let's get started on that. Alright guys, so here's the engine bay, and it's a lot of updates about this. Let's get started on the right side. As you can see here, the clutch line is connected. Now that clutch line is the stainless steel line off a Mazda Miata. You can get that. It lines up to the clutch master, and then you go straight down across the engine bay into the bottom and connects right into the clutch slave. And now let's take a look at the wiring harness. As you can see right here, the ignition is already connected. It is from a Toyota coil and plug, and using adapter plate right here. As you can see, the adapter plate lets you mount the Toyota plugs right onto the engine, and from that the wire harness is already connected. There's a write-up on this on the Miata forums. You can check that out. And also on the crank, as you can see down here, let me zoom in. Also, as you can see on the crank, might be hard to see it, but there's a wheel, a Flying Miata 36-2 wheel on there. So what that does is just makes it easier for the computer to kind of keep timing on the engine. And we're using the crank sensor for all the timing on the engine. If you're using the 36-2 timing gear, there's no need for the cam sensor anymore. This can be disconnected or removed. It's not used anymore because we're using the crank sensor now. And all the wiring over here is already connected. You got your air temp, your idle control right here, the throttle. All the injector harness is connected. All the sensor on the bottom right here for the oil pressure is connected. Alternator wiring is connected. The starter wiring is connected. So I used the original harness for this one for the positive side, and kind of wired everything into it and wrapped it up. The negative side is fairly easy. You just kind of connect to the battery and then to the chassis and the engine. So that's all you have to do for the negative side. So now, as you can see right here, this is where all the wiring is connected, and then it loops right into the inside bay compartment, but it goes right into where the original AC component is feed through. So that feeds right into the cabin. Taking a look at the cabin right here, as you can see, the ECU is right on the bottom right here, and I'm using Mega Squirt. And on top of that right here, you see the relay board that you could buy separately for the Mega Squirt. And this just kind of make everything easier because I'm converting a carbureted car into fuel injection. So now I got the fuel pump relay and all that stuff all on board right here. On to the right side right here is my fuse box, that all the gauge and everything is all connected into that. All the wiring is bundled up into one large wire right here. They go straight into that AC port they saw earlier. And then eventually I'm going to kind of tuck everything away up there. So for now, just kind of lay it out and make sure everything's good. Also, you could use any kind of engine management you want. I just happen to found this fairly cheap, so rather use that, and I'm pretty good with Mega Squirt. Another thing you'll notice right here is that 3-pot gauge for my AFR right here, boost, and then I got my oil pressure right here. And it's fairly simple and clean. All I did was drill a hole right here feed everything through that. Come to the driver's side, you can see that the cluster is missing. The reason for that is because I'm installing a new cluster. And let's go ahead and take a look at that cluster. All right, so here's the new cluster. This is the old one right here. The old one only have the mile per hour speedometer on here. So with the new one, it has the RPM plus the speedometer. And it also has a digital clock on the lower right side. To get it to work is fairly simple. It's just plug and play, but I did modify it a little bit. I'll show that in a second. Coming back to the engine bay, I do have the original temperature sensor right near this open slot on the back. So I wired that through the engine bay, through the cabin, and run that through the driver's side. All right, so that wire connects to this side right here, which you can see the Phillips screw right here on the bottom right here. It has TU on the marking on there, which stands for temperature sensor. So I wired that into here, so it activate that sensor, the factory B2200 sensor will activate into here. So that's how you wire it to that. Next thing I'm going to do is modify the original battery tray for the B2000. So I took everything off of here. All you have to do is unbolt everything out of here and it should come right out. And what I'm going to do is modify this to make it to work. So here's the battery. This is a Mazda Miata battery. And here's the universal battery clamp that goes on top, kind of like that. And here's the battery tray. And as you can see right here, we got a lot of exhaust component. You got your hangers, you got the wideband. This is a flange for my downpipe. This is the hanger itself, and a couple clamps to connect the new exhaust into it. And as you see here, there's the exhaust right here. It's a vintage style sounding exhaust off Amazon. Nothing fancy there, but quiet down the exhaust a little bit. And as you can see here is a universal exhaust pipe that you could buy. I bought this off of Amazon. One side of it is slightly bigger and one side is smaller. So you can mount it up very easily and then weld it up. So, and then you cut it and trim it to whatever you need to make it work. So what I'm going to do is mount it all the way into the bottom by modifying and then cut a piece off of it. Okay, that little cut right here should allow it to mount into the engine bay now. So I'm just going to install this right here, just like that. Fits perfectly. And let's test the battery. Yeah, the battery fit perfectly, but it's hitting this headlight harness right here. So what I'm going to do is modify the headlight harness later on, so it's not a big deal. Just want to make sure the battery fit. So I'll probably disconnect the headlight harness real quick. All you have to do is drill a couple holes onto this plate right here, because there's already a few mounting holes on there. So I just got to line it up, drill those holes, and then drill a couple holes on the edge, the mounting rod for the battery. All right, battery tray is cut and drilled in place. It's mounted. The holes seem to line up. Let's bolt it on real quick. Okay, now I got this rubber mat right here that I already cut into size. Place it right here. Place these hooks. It's time to mount the battery. And mount this bracket on top. It's adjustable to the size of your battery. And these hooks gonna go right over it. Okay, here's how it looks. It's pretty solid, doesn't move anywhere, and it clears the headlight harness right here, so that's good. Now we're ready to mount the speedometer. Okay, before I install this, now's a good time to change the bulb. So here's the old bulb. So I got these LED bulbs right here. Pop it into the socket and then take all the old one out. Okay, so here's the three connector for the cluster. You got the one on the far right, the middle, and the one on the left, which is the biggest one. So I think the smallest one right here is where the temperature sensor unit wiring is. So basically, if you look at it this way, where the clip's on top, it will be on the right side. So what I did was wire that into that last wire on the right side, and that should give me the signal into the temperature gauge into here. Okay, so now we're ready to install the downpipe. As you can see, my downpipe has the flex pipe on here. If your downpipe doesn't have a flex pipe, I recommend you install this or weld this on, because what happens is the engine's going to vibrate and then it's going to cause a cracking into your downpipe. So I would recommend you weld this on before you do the rest of the exhaust. So it's going to be hard to film, so I'm just going to do this off camera and then kind of line it up and kind of explain it. Okay guys, so now the downpipe is installed and the flex pipe you can see right there. So this downpipe is made for a Miata, so of course it's not going to fit. As you can see, the flange right there is hitting the subframe. So what I'm going to do is try to extend it down a little bit more, so I can go down a little bit more so I can clear that subframe. So I'm going to take it apart and cut it and weld an extension for it. Okay, so here's the update so far. Let's look at the downpipe. All right, as you can see right there, the downpipe is welded on with the extension and it connects to this flange right here. And after that flange, I tack weld a hanger, which is right there. And after that, it just kind of exit right here, still on wooden blocks. So after it passed the rear diff, I will weld on a muffler, and from that it just exit the tailpipe. So it's very simple, nothing to it. Okay, now that the two pipes are welded, we're ready to install this on the car and then continue on with the exhaust fabrication. Okay, I got two 45-degree angle pipe right here. So I'm just gonna connect these two together like that, turn it like so. So it's give me like a S shape, which is gonna go over the differential. And then I'm gonna weld a hanger to one of the pipes to keep it in place. Okay, so I placed the two pipes in position. As you can see, the hanger is right on top. That's where I'm going to weld the hanger as well. And the bend goes right over the axle. I'm going to tack weld it now and then remove everything and weld it on the table. Okay, now that the mid pipe is complete, I'm thinking I might chop a piece off of here and connect the V-band, which is right here. The V-band is kind of like a quick release for the exhaust, and there's a clamp that clamps over it. And the good thing about the V-band is you can rotate it also. I was thinking to cut that, make a V-band right here, which connects to one side of the muffler, and make another V-band for the other side, and make that into the tailpipe. Okay, before I weld up the muffler, I'm going to remove the spare tires and also remove the bumper. So the bumper has two bolts that holds it on each side. This is the aftermarket bumper, it's not the factory one. It has a tow hitch here. And to remove the spare tire, you need one of these tools right here. And this should be another tool that connects to this, but I don't have it. I'm going to use a vice grip. And you stick this right into this hole right here on top of the license plate. And once it's in there, there should be a gear that you can rotate and drop the spare tire. Okay, here's the tire lowering chain. I'm going to cut that off because I'm not going to put a spare tire in the back here. It gives more room to build the exhaust. All right, coming to the rear part of the bumper, as you can see, there's two bolts holding it in place right here. You're going to have to remove that and then remove the bumper. Okay, so here's the V-band. Just welded these two together. Just want to show a demonstration how the V-band works. You just kind of made together like that. And with the V-band, you could also rotate it. And once you rotate it and like it to where it sits, you put this clamp right over it. And once the clamp's in place, you rotate it where you like it, and then you just tighten the bolt, and that's how the V-band works. Alright guys, so here's the muffler. It's in place using a jack stand to hold it up in place, and the pipe is connected to the V-band right there. And I think what I'm going to do is make it exit where the bumper used to be, which is right here. So all I have to do is connect a 90-degree pipe right here. I'll trim it to size, and that should finish the exhaust up. Okay, so now the exhaust is completed. It's all welded together. As you can see on the edge right here, there's a V-band clamp. And this is the main muffler right here. It's basically a vintage sounding muffler from Amazon. Nothing fancy there. And there's the exhaust tip. I might change this up to a better looking tip, but for now this will have to do. And now I'm ready to mount this on the truck. Okay, now the exhaust is fully installed, and here's the tip right here. Again, I might cut the tip to make it a little bit shorter. Just want to see how it looks when it's longer, or might even change the tip completely. There's the clamp from the V-band onto the exhaust itself and exiting the tailpipe. Okay guys, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification. And I'll see you on the next video when we get this truck started.
ハイパースピードメディア